Researcher now at this hour begins with the political crisis in Rivers State, where we understand that the Rivers State Elders Council has called on Governor Siminalayi Fubara and Speaker Martin Amaewhule to put aside their differences and work together for the state's progress. In a statement, Chairman Chief Ferdinand Alabraba congratulated Rivers residents on the Supreme Court's ruling, commending their patience and resilience. The council urged both leaders who emerged from the same political party to prioritize governance over personal disputes. They stressed that with the court's verdict settled, nothing should hinder unity. The elders also called for urgent steps to restore stability in line with constitutional responsibilities, expressing hope that peace would return to Rivers State. Still in Rivers State, the Apex Igbo socio-cultural organization Maiyasin Katsina has denied claims that it called on the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Amaewhule, to initiate impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State. In a statement released on Saturday, the organization clarified that it had no position on the ongoing political crisis in the state and that the report did not come from Maiyasin Katsina. This denial follows a statement from a faction of the group which had urged Speaker Amaewhule to begin the impeachment process against Governor Fubara after the Supreme Court reinstated the pro-Nyesom lawmakers, including Amaewhule, on Friday. The factional statement was signed by Deputy President General Okechukwu Izugozoro and National Publicity Secretary Chief Chinenyeze Ohia. However, Maiyasin Kati's National Publicity Secretary, Dr. Eze Chichukwu, speaking to journalists, dismissed the impeachment claim, emphasizing that it did not represent the organization's stance. To discuss this, we're joined by a political analyst, Godswill Jumbo. Mr. Jumbo, it's nice to have you around on the news.
My pleasure being here with you again.
All right, so what's your take on the stay of execution on the suspension of the former Senate President as BOT Chairman, that is Adolfo Swabara?
Okay, well, even though I'm not a politician, but because I'm observing the political space and offering my opinion, I think it is not out of place given the uncertain, the fluid and unwieldy political environment we have in Nigeria, where a lot of things are possible. From the reasonable to the absurd. You know, at the center, the political gerrymandering, you know, the power tussle, you know, at the center, and then maybe one or two persons can influence somebody somewhere in your ward, in your unit, you know, to do some funny things, which we have seen play out. But then it's politics. At the end of the day, the political gladiators, they will still settle, and it will still be at the detriment of even the people who carried out the suspension at the end of the day.
Okay.
We have seen over time.
Okay, so let's now scale that down to what we see happening in Rivers State too, where we see these fights between the FCT Minister Nyesom and of course Fubara, and the announcement, the latest announcement by the Supreme Court. Now, when we see these political tussles happen in these states, what is the political future, most especially in this case for Rivers State?
Well, I would say that given the posture of the governor, the political climate in Rivers State is bright. Because it takes two to tango. And in this case, regardless of what are his political benefits or disadvantages, whatever he stands to gain or lose in the whole of this, he has chosen to be the man on the ground, to be the man that is on the pleading side, trying to make peace and all of that. We know better that the man who was there 8 years ago, you know, who handed over to him, if it was in this, if this situation were to replay then, we know that Rivers State would have gone up in flames. So if you ask me the future of Rivers State in all of this, the future is bright because the governor has considered the interest of the people of Rivers State paramount. So you see him withdrawing an appeal from the Supreme Court. Let bygone be bygone, let peace reign. The Supreme Court has ruled on the House of Assembly. He's not questioning it. His posture is that, okay, the government will abide by the decision of the Apex Court. The Supreme Court gave a ruling on the local government, election in the states. And the government under him has also advertised itself as a government that is, amenable to the rule of law and will comply, So you see, with that kind of posture, the future of Rivers State is very bright.
Okay.
Contrary to if we had somebody else who had issues with self-worth, who had issues with inferiority complex, that one will fight and keep fighting, just like he has been doing. To him, if Rivers State has to be, if a state of emergency has to be declared in Rivers State, no wahala. If the Supreme Court, has to order that everybody in Rivers State should be thrown into Port Harcourt prison, no wahala. If all the militant groups in Rivers State will come to the street and be shooting each other, burn down houses, no wahala. But thank God we don't have that kind of person. Whatever Tinubu wants to do with those kind of people, that's fine. But for the man on the saddle now, as the governor of Rivers State, he has shown the character, the candor, the demeanor of the place he is coming from, of the Ibani stock, of the Ijaw ethnic nationality, and those people prioritize peace.
Okay. Now, but then, do you trust the Martin Amewule? Jumbo, do you trust the leadership of Martin Amewule led House of Assembly not to push for Fubara's impeachment, probably even reject the state's budget?
Okay, as per the Martin Amewule issue, I think we are dealing with a situation where people don't understand what the Supreme Court has ruled on. The Supreme Court is dealing with a simple situation that everybody can relate to. Let's assume that I was declared the governor of Rivers State, and then somebody challenged me in court, and then it got to the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court is not aware that I've died. And the Supreme Court said Godswill Jumbo is the authentic governor of Rivers State, and he should be sworn in immediately. But before the Supreme Court, there is no information before the Supreme Court that Godswill Jumbo is dead and buried. I mean, what will happen? So we have a situation where the subject matter before the Supreme Court is the challenge to the Martin Amewule leadership of the House of Assembly. That came before the defection. So now the Supreme Court has dealt with the minute issue that as at the time when this particular issue before us was, the trending issue, it was the subject matter. Martin Amewule was the substantive Speaker of the House. The Supreme Court is not, there's no information before the Supreme Court that this same Speaker and his colleagues have defected from the party that sponsored them to office, which Section 109, which they are aware of. And if you check, in the day that the Speaker was reading that defection letter, he quoted Section 109, subsection 1 to 1G. You understand? So it's all there. It's clear. Now, the Supreme Court is not aware that they defected, and that issue has not come to them. That issue is at the Federal High Court at the moment, and the case was called up 3 days ago, and then has been adjourned to April.
Okay.
So that matter is not there. So people will be relating or claiming that Martin Amewule was reinstated by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court never said so. We need to check. Well, by the way, in a few days' time, the CTC of the judgment will be out. We would want to see what the Supreme Court said, in effect.
Okay.
But come to your question about the leadership capacity of Martin Amewule. Martin Amewule has leadership qualities, but unfortunately, he's following a leader that will not allow him to exhibit those qualities. I've known Martin Amewule over time. he is somebody that is robust politically. He is somebody that is, academically acidic.
Okay.
Is, an erudite scholar.
All right,
So,
Jumbo.
Son person holding that office, I'm sure he will deliver.
Okay.
But the influences around him is not going to allow him to do what the office demands of him.
All right, thank you very much, Jumbo. Let's just put that conversation to bed there where you have actually placed it. And we just wait for the final verdict on this particular issue to know where justice will eventually lean. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
Okay, my pleasure being with you too. Thank you.
All right. Now, still talking politics, Abia State High Court, under the leadership of Justice LTC Eruba, has halted the enforcement of the suspension of former Senate President and Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, Adolphus Wabara. Justice Eruba issued an order restraining the Abia PDP leadership led by Elder Ibrahim Ama from carrying out the suspension. This legal action follows a suit filed by Wabara, who sought an injunction to prevent the enforcement of the suspension. A few weeks ago, Elder Ama announced Wabara's suspension, accusing him of anti-party activities after Wabara publicly praised Governor Alex Oti's efforts in the reconstruction of Port Harcourt Road in Aba. The National Working Committee of the PDP quickly intervened, declaring the suspension null and void, stating it violated the party's constitution. We'll now go on a short break on the news. When we return, we'll tell you about Eniola Ojajuni, who has been freed. Stay with us. And now the Coalition of Yoruba Youth Leaders has called on the federal government and security agencies to step up efforts in protecting Nigerians following the recent abduction and subsequent release of Afenifere Youth Council President Prince Eniola Ojajuni. Expressing concern over the rising wave of kidnappings across the country, the coalition stressed that increased security measures would prevent Nigerians from enduring similar trauma to what Ojajuni had experienced. A statement issued by the National Secretary of the coalition, Akima Deleke, following Ojajuni's release, emphasized the importance of vigilance and safety for all citizens. Adeleke also confirmed that the Afenifere youth leader was receiving urgent medical care. He commended Ojajuni's resilience, calling it a testament to the unshakable spirit of the Yoruba people in the face of adversity. And away from that, a magistrate court in Lokoja, Kogi State, has granted the demand of the prosecution in the cyber-stalking and criminal defamation case against the chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, Austin Okai, to enable the Department of State Services conclude their investigations into the allegations. The decision of the DSS to seek for the remand in prison or custody was to ensure compliance with the law by not keeping the accused beyond 48 hours in custody without the lawful permission of the courts, in line with the criminal justice system of Nigeria. Okai is facing trial for his allegation on the social media that the Kogi State Governor, Usman Ododo, allegedly stole billions of naira meant for the local government councils in the state, as well as some agencies under the state government. Earlier, Kogi State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kingsley Fambo, gave more insights to this.
We are challenging him on two grounds. The first one is cyber stalking. That is the use of internet to cause reputational harm to the other person. And that is contained in the Cybercrime Act of 2015, Section 24. And the other thing we are challenging him for is the issue of criminal defamation, which is in Section 233 to 235 of the Criminal Code Act. So these are the grounds that we are challenging. If you just make allegations that the governor diverted over 16 billion naira, then you should have proofs to be able to justify your allegations. Making those allegations would definitely not be enough. He has to have his date in court to prove those allegations that we all know are false.
In a related development, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has urged Unoma Akpabio, wife of Senate President Godswill Akpabio, to stay out of the allegations of sexual harassment and intimidation against her husband. The dispute has escalated after Akpoti-Uduaghan accused Akpabio of blocking her motions and intimidating her following her refusal of his alleged advances. Akpabio, that is the wife, has dismissed the claims, stating that both families have maintained a cordial relationship for years. In a letter dated March 1, 2025, Akpoti Udoaka has insisted that the allegations are personal to Akpabio and that he should defend himself. She has also claimed to have concrete evidence supporting her accusations. The senator has reaffirmed her commitments to defending Nigerian women while urging Akpabio's wife to protect her family's integrity by staying out of the matter. Now, the Sarkin Sasa Haruna Maiyasin Katsina has passed away at the age of 125. He died on Saturday evening at his residence in the Sasa community located in the Akintunde local government area of Oyo State. In response to the passing of the revered traditional ruler, senators representing Oyo Central and Oyo South senatorial districts, Yunus, Akintunde, and Sharafadeen Alli, have extended their condolences. In separate statements issued on Sunday in Ibadan, both lawmakers mourned the loss of Sarkin Sasa Akintunde through his special assistant on media and publicity. Kunle Olatunji praised the late Maiyasin as a staunch advocate for good governance and democracy. Senator Ali also expressed deep sorrow and extended his heartfelt condolences to the family, the Arewa community, and the people of Sasa. Until his death, the late Sarkin Sasa served as the chairman of the Council of Arewa Traditional Rulers in the 17 southern states of Nigeria. Let's also tell you that President Bola Tinubu has paid tributes to the late founding president of the Republic of Namibia, Sam Nujoma, describing him as a warrior who galvanized Nigeria and other African nations to fight for his country's freedom. Nujoma was a revered figure who led his country to gain independence, steering the nation on the path towards democracy and stability. Speaking on Saturday during a state burial for the late Namibian leader held at Heroes Acre in Windhoek, Namibia, President Tinubu was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, said that Nuyoma's demise is not an exit from space and time, but the wake of his immortality in the minds of Africans. No fewer than 20,197 Nigerians who were stranded in various countries have voluntarily returned to their homeland. This repatriation was facilitated through the International Organization for Migration's Assisted Voluntary Return and Reintegration Program, with support from the federal government and Nigerian missions abroad. According to data from the IOM, women and girls make up nearly 88% of the returnees, while men represent 13%. The majority of returnees are between the ages of 18 and 39, with the 18 to 25 age group being particularly vulnerable to trafficking. Disturbingly, many returnees reported being trafficked by friends or acquaintances, with 46.6% of female and 53.2% of male victims falling prey to traffickers. The University Don and Professor of Arabic Language, Dawood, has tasked fellow Muslim faithful in Nigeria to leverage the benefits of the holy month of Ramadan. Speaking with News Central television crew in the Kano state capital, Professor Dawood says that he's confident that with prayers in the holy month of Ramadan, Nigeria can get over its current economic challenges. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
Have kick-started. The Kano state government received a delegation from Saudi Arabia who donated dates for the less privileged to enable them observe the holy month. Professor of Arabic Studies from the Bayero University, Kano, took time to highlight the benefits of the holy month.
In the month of Ramadan, we have a great night, the night of Laylatul Qadr, which is if you are opportune to rise during the night, pray, your prayer will be accepted, and indeed you will win great bless of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The reminder, more importantly, as said by one scholar, Muhammad al-Ghazali, in his book روح الدين الإسلامي خلق المسلم, the good conduct of a Muslim. That our prayer, our Hajj, our sadaqat we give, the secret hidden in all these worships are not only just to physical exercise. No, it is to train us to mold our character.
Some other stakeholders say prayers can move mountains, thus its importance to fixing the nation's economic challenges.
Taking a look at the situation of fasting, you must insist that first you serve God. Number two, you become very sympathetic and considerate to people below you and even to people by your side.
The Ramadan prayers will continue for the next 30 days, and as the custom is, Muslim faithful will fully participate in the activities marking the holy month. In Kano for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
And back to security matters, the abducted national president of the Afenifere Youth Council, Eniola Ojajuni, has been released after 12 days in the kidnappers' den. The national secretary of the Youth Council, Biodun Aderomu, confirmed his release on Saturday. Ojajuni was abducted on Monday, February 17, 2025, on his way to Abuja for a meeting. The kidnappers had demanded 100 million naira and 2 tricycles as ransom for his release. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, had ordered the deployment of the intelligence response team to secure the safe release of the Afenifere youth leader after a video went viral where Ojajuni was at gunpoint, pleaded for Nigerians to come to his aid and raise funds for his release. To discuss this, we are joined by President Yoruba Council Worldwide, Oladoto Hassan. Mr. Hassan, it's nice to have you around. Thank you so much for coming to our studios.
Well, it's a pleasure to be on your program.
Yeah. So how did Eniola's abduction and the subsequent release affect the council and the family, and what effort went into securing its release?
Well, we must first of all thank God Almighty for the successful release of Prince Eniola Ojajuni, who is a very good friend of mine and a leader of the Afenifere youth, which we equally acknowledge the efforts of the IGP of the police and all critical stakeholders, friends and family and leaders across the Yoruba land. During this trying and excruciating period, we understand psychologically he needs to recoup himself, he needs to recuperate within the period, medically, but within this whole period, it is just to disclose to us that it's high time our governors takes the issue of security very seriously, especially just not within the region alone, but nationally. We know the issue of kidnapping along Biniore Road, along Ijebu-Ode, along all these corridors needs very stringent method for the government to play critical role, especially working closely with local security groups, ensuring proper intelligence are being utilized, and ensuring technology also, because all these factors are what are aiding these hoodlums, kidnappers to operate within the region. And from that same experience, we believe that the government should not just keep quiet, having released Eniola Ojajuni. There are all other people who are not as popular as Eniola Ojajuni that have been kidnapped. So it goes to say that enough intelligence must be put into place, and we want to inform the government there must be proper stringent law against kidnapping. Kidnapping should be a case, should be related to terrorism, whereby death penalty should be the consequence, because that is the only deterrent that can really ensure that this kind of trade that some people have just set their eyes on, thinking that, okay, being the Afenifere youth leader, people will contribute. Yes, a lot of money has gone down from various groups and all that, but it is not that money contribution that matters, but the average life of every Nigerian. And it is very important, especially our Southwest governors. They should not take the issue of security. They've raised it that ISWAP are already within the region. So all our royal fathers and our governors needs to meet and comb all our forests. We don't want any terrorists, either under any guise, to operate within our forest. We want to ensure that we have forest guards so that the amount of insecurity, especially around this Kogi corridor Abuja axis to, there must be a proper, more energetic anti-kidnapping unit must be stationed around, maybe within those corridors. And all these suspects that have been arrested must not be let out, because the kind of pains they allow victims to go through is like more of visiting death already. So we believe that we thank maybe we appreciate the effort of the IGP, IGP Egbetokun, and ensuring that these are one of the cardinal objectives that Yoruba Council Worldwide have seen to discuss with him, that we need to establish the Police and Youth Relations Committee so that every day, every time, there can be synergy to discuss the issue of security at all times.
Okay, so I'm guessing that the establishment of that particular committee at the grassroots, or should I say in the Southwest, would be enough to tackle issues around kidnapping in the country, because some people have actually questioned what the Yoruba community would be doing or can do to assist in dealing with insecurities or insecurity situations like this.
Yes, we've already reached a conclusive stage with the Office of the Inspector General of Police, because we are working closely with the IGP office through the PPRO's office to ensuring that in all the 6 regions of the country, we host what is called the Police and Youth Relations Summit across the 6 geopolitical zones to ensure that grassroots community policing is a toga on its own, but to effectively carry it out, the youth must not be separated from that. And that's why the IGP have embraced the Nigeria Force project that we have presented to him. That was on the 12th of August of last year on International Youth Day, which the IGP embraced the establishment. So the essence is to ensure that with the government and the people, especially the youth demographics, which is the highest in population, we can constructively engage with the DPO, the area commander, and all the necessary security agency and for intelligence gathering, for intelligence sharing, because that is the only key to dealing with the terrorism that is already infesting around us, because we cannot say we are adequately safe. For now, there is incursion within the southwestern region for the past 5 years now, and people will say, oh, because everybody is allowed to live everywhere. But what about the security and identity of those that are coming? Do we really know how many of the foreigners that have gained inroad into our land? So we believe the only best way is through this method that we have engaging with the IGP office, and we hope in the coming days, with all the youth groups across the country, this will be an embracing way forward to ensuring that issue of security is adequately dealt with. We've equally written to the president to establish a local national local national security agency, whereby all the local securities that we have across the country, that will be like the Amotekun we have in the southwest, we equally have in the southeast, north central, the East Bar. The government, the federal government, we have advised the federal government to come up with a platform, a national joint security network, whereby all these local security groups, like civilian JTF, will not just be left alone without proper training, without proper alignment with the institutions of government. So we believe there are critical synergy, and that's what the Yoruba Council Worldwide is really looking up to. We've equally written to the DG of the DSS that want to engage. So it's all about constructive engagement. I will believe the issue of insecurity in a matter of is just a matter of time. It will be a thing of the past.
Okay, so to be critical about this, we know that kidnappers enrich themselves by demanding ransom, and we are aware that Ojajuni's abductors demanded 100 million naira and 2 tricycles. Was any paid?
Well, you know, the new trade is kidnapping. It has always been there. We were thinking it was a joke when it started in the Niger Delta, but now it has now become a well-infested trading. But be that as it may, we are aware that monies were being contributed that belong to various platforms. We've engaged, there are family members, at least they are coming. Even during those conversations, we're following up. I was more following up on daily conversations, even with the kidnappers and every other thing. But this situation is just to show that these kidnappers are human beings. These are just youth that are just telling themselves that that is what they want to go through. They were never born a kidnapper. And we're telling all kidnappers now to have a change of thoughts, because this can never continue again. Because so for us, it is to show to the government that the government should equally create an alternative in ensuring industrialization of Nigerian youth. We cannot continue to say we have army of unemployed youth. Crime is equally growing faster. And they say the idle hand is the devil's workshop. We want to believe that with all this engagement we are having, thankfully the current president is equally doing a whole lot in the area of the youth demographic in terms of youth initiative that is really bringing up good omen for the country. Okay. But it's not enough. It's not enough. We want to believe that the confab in which the federal government is about to organize, we will participate there, we will put up a lot of policies before the government, and we believe that engagement at the confab will throw more light to way forward on how we manage youth development as far as the country is concerned. All right,
thank you so much, Oladotun Hassan, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Has finally regained his freedom.
Thank you.
Coming up on the news, Democratic Republic of Congo's army says handover of 20 alleged Hutu rebels staged. We'll bring you the details in a short while. Don't go away. The news continues in Central Africa, where the Democratic Republic of Congo's army has denied claims on Sunday that 20 fighters linked to the Rwandan genocide had been captured on its territory, calling a video showing their handover to Rwanda faked. The video, released by the Rwanda-backed M23 armed group, showed the fighters being handed over at a border post. The DRC military rejected the footage, alleging that Rwanda staged the events to discredit them. They further accused Rwanda of using such tactics to justify their ongoing invasion of eastern DRC, where the M23, backed by Rwanda, has seized key towns. Tensions are rising, with fears the conflict could escalate into a broader regional war. In the meantime, the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, MONUSCO, is preparing to supervise compliance with a ceasefire in the region. This was revealed by Jean-Pierre Lacroix, the UN Under-Secretary General for Peace Operations, during a visit to Beni in the eastern part of the country. Lacroix confirmed that MONUSCO is actively engaging at the diplomatic level to restore its ability to operate in the M23 controlled zone, where tensions remain high. He emphasized the mission's readiness to monitor and ensure adherence to the ceasefire as part of ongoing efforts to stabilize the region.
Mais j'avais dit au président de la République, au Premier ministre, je l'ai redit ici à monsieur le gouverneur, la MONUSCO, se prépare activement à jouer un rôle pour la supervision du respect du cessez-le-feu, sachant qu'évidemment le cessez-le-feu, lorsqu'il se matérialisera, ça nécessitera l'engagement des parties concernées. La logique d'une opération de maintien de la paix, c'est d'être déployé dans un contexte où il y a un minimum d'accord entre les parties au conflit, soit un cessez-le-feu, soit un accord plus vaste. Et là, vous le savez bien, c'est un conflit interétatique qui ne dit pas son nom, avec la mise en œuvre par les protagonistes, à la fois le M23, mais aussi l'armée rwandaise, de moyens militaires très substantiels. Ensuite, nous travaillons activement au niveau diplomatique pour faire retrouver, dans toute la mesure du possible, à MONUSCO sa capacité d'agir dans la zone M23, occupée par le M23, faire appliquer cette résolution dont j'ai parlé et qui porte notamment sur la cessation des hostilités et le retrait des forces armées du Rwanda. Et puis j'ai mentionné aussi, je l'ai dit, il y a une unanimité du Conseil de sécurité, une unanimité de la communauté internationale, puisque cette résolution elle représente la voix de la communauté internationale, elle a été votée à l'unanimité, ce qui est rare parce que nos États membres sont divisés sur la plupart des crises. C'est un atout aussi sur lequel il faut capitaliser en travaillant ensemble. Voilà.
In Northern Africa, the highly anticipated trial of several prominent Tunisian opposition figures accused of plotting against state security is set to begin on Tuesday. The case involves around 40 high-profile defendants, including former diplomats, politicians, lawyers, and media figures, many of whom have been vocal critics of President Kais Saied. Rights groups and critics have condemned the trial, calling it unfair and politically motivated. The accused were detained following a series of arrests in February 2023 after Saied labeled them terrorists. They face charges of plotting against state security and belonging to a terrorist group, the possibility of severe sentences. Among the defendants are politician Jawad Ben Mbarek, former Ennahda party figure Abdelhamid Jelassi, and Issam Chebi, founder of the opposition National Salvation Front coalition, all of whom are staunch critics of Saied. Outside of Africa, we tell you that Keir Starmer is meeting with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni ahead of a critical European summit on Ukraine. The two leaders shared a similar mindset on Ukraine, with Meloni expressing hopes that Italy could help bridge divides. Earlier, the Prime Minister emphasized that the UK and France, in partnership with Kiev, would push to end the conflict and work closely with the US on a peace plan. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who visited Downing Street on Saturday, is set to meet King Charles today. This follows a tense exchange between Zelensky and US President Donald Trump in the Oval Office on Friday, highlighting ongoing global tensions over the war. Now, Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar has stated that Israel would not accept a ceasefire unless hostages are released. Speaking at a press conference in Jerusalem alongside his Croatian counterpart Gordon Velik Radman, Saar emphasized that securing the release of hostages remains a critical condition for any potential ceasefire agreements.
According to our principles, are you going to give this ceasefire for free without hostages to be released? This is something we will not accept. So yes, we are ready to negotiate on the second phase. According to our principles, we also agreed to the American proposal to a longer framework of further 50 days during the Ramadan and the Passover. But in this framework, according to the American proposal, a release of hostages.
In sports, the Honorable Abike Arewa, Chairman and CEO of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, praised Nigerian-born American football player Moro Jomo for a Super Bowl victory with the Philadelphia Eagles in 2025. Arewa commended Ojomo's success and thanked President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for pledging to honor him with a national award. During his visit to NIDCOM's headquarters in Abuja, Ojomo expressed his pride in representing Nigeria, attributing his achievements to his Nigerian upbringing. He committed to investing in Nigerian youth by establishing an academy to prepare them for the 2028 Olympics.
When you see Nigerians succeed in anything, you want to be involved in it, right? So that's the goal. Nigerians doing well in American football and ultimately just learning it. I believe it's not popular because we don't understand it. It's the most popular sport in America, right? So that shows that that sport has traction. So that's kind of the exposure. And there's a lot of work that they're doing with the flag football team. Some tryouts in Lagos right now. You know, I think they want to get them ready for the Olympics in 2028, right? So yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, I think that when your success in life is a direct correlation of the people that are around you and what they pour into you.
And I thank Mr. President for conferring on you, well, promising to confer on you a national honor. That is inspiring to younger generation of Nigerians, you know, to encourage you that this is home. Home will always be home. No matter how much you excel abroad, home will always be home. And we thank you for making us so proud. And I know that you're passionate about your country.
We tell you now that the Basketball Africa League has unveiled the 12 teams and games schedule for its 5th season, set to begin with the Kalahari Conference Group Phase from April 5 to 13 at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Sports Complex in Rabat, Morocco. The 2025 season will feature 3 group phases, culminating in playoffs and finals at Pretoria's Sunbet Arena in June. A record 6 teams will debut, including Creole Star Basketball from Cape Verde and Nairobi City Thunder from Kenya, along with defending champions Petro de Luanda from Angola and 2022 champions US Monastir from Tunisia. In the opener, Mali's Stade Malien faces Nigeria's Rivers Hoopers, while Morocco's FUS plays Egypt's Al Ittihad. The season will conclude with single elimination playoffs in June. Jean-Philippe Mateta has been discharged from the hospital after a horrific challenge from Millwall goalkeeper Liam Roberts in Saturday's FA Cup match, which Crystal Palace won 3-1. Roberts was sent off just 8 minutes into the game for catching Mateta's head with his boot while clearing the ball, leading to a VAR review and red card. Mateta received oxygen on the field and was stretchered to an ambulance. The club later confirmed Mateta received 25 stitches for a severe ear laceration, but scans were clear. Mateta expressed gratitude for fans' support, saying he hopes to return stronger. Palace manager Oliver Glasner called the challenge career-threatening, while chairman Steve Parish labelled it the most reckless challenge he had ever seen. Ethiopia's Tadesse Takele won the Tokyo Marathon on Sunday, clocking a time of 2 hours, 3 minutes and 23 seconds, securing his first major marathon title. Takele broke away from the pack with 4 kilometers remaining in the warm conditions, edging out Ethiopia's Deresa Geleta 2 hours, 3 minutes and 51 seconds, and Kenya's Vincent Kipkemoy Ngetich 2 hours and 4 minutes. In the women's race, Ethiopia's Sutume Asefa Kebede defended her title with a time of 2 hours, 16 minutes and 31 seconds. Uganda's Joshua Cheptegei, the double Olympic champion, finished 9th in 2 hours, 5 minutes and 59 seconds, struggling with the heat, but noting the experience as valuable for future marathons. Kenya's Benson Kipruto, last year's Tokyo champion, placed 6th with 2 hours, 5 minutes and 46 seconds. Former world record holder Paula Ratcliffe, running her first marathon in a decade, completed a race in 2 hours, 57 minutes and 26 seconds. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, we'll look at our major stories again. River State Elders Council urged Governor Fubara, Speaker, to settle differences for state's progress. State High Court holds enforcement of Wabara's suspension as PDP's Board of Trustees chairman. We also told you that the Democratic Republic of Congo's army says handover of 20 alleged Hutu rebels was staged. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.